What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday. Wednesday means it's Q and A day. And I have 5 really good questions. I had more than 5 good questions this week. But as always, I try to narrow it down to 5. If you have a question for an upcoming episode down below, simply ask that question in the comments and I will pick 5 for next week. So please consider typing your question of me. Now, today is also a very special day because it is my 20th wedding anniversary today. Very cool, super lucky that my wife still likes me, and I am super blessed to have her as my wife. If you look over my shoulder, you've probably noticed that kind of print up there. It's not a print, it's actually a charcoal drawing that I had a former student who became a professional artist. I had that commission for him to make. That's our 2 daughters right there. And I gave that to my wife for our 10th wedding anniversary. So that's kind of always over my shoulder whenever I am recording a video here. So that is, we got Molly and Lucy there. And then there's a couple designs and other pictures of them. So that's what that is. 10 years ago today, I gave that to my wife. 20 years ago today, we got married. Now, we've got something exciting coming up, and I just want to make sure that we all remember. In case you missed it yesterday, actually, I announced a giveaway. I am giving away a 1960 Mickey Mantle All-Star in a PSA 4. It is a beautiful PSA 4, by the way. I don't know how this card only got a 4 grade. I am giving this away, and to be entered to win, as this is in preparation for and anticipation for the Whatnot Virtual Card Show 3, which is November 16th to the 19th, coming up here in just over a week. And if you have a Whatnot account, all you have to do to enter is down below. You need to, in the comments, tell me what your Whatnot user ID is. Also, make sure you're following me on Whatnot. Now, if you don't have a Whatnot account, I have a link down below in the pinned comments and in the description below. I have a link. And if you go to that link, it will take you through the process to sign on and create your Whatnot account. Once you have a Whatnot account, make sure you're following me. And then simply down in the description, tell me your Whatnot user ID. And then boom, you are entered to win. Now the giveaway is going to be on November 20th. Now the Whatnot Card Show 3 is from November 16th to the 19th. So the day after it ends, we'll do this giveaway. I will do a drawing and I'm planning on doing it live. So I will give you more details about that soon. They're expecting over 1,000 dealers during the days, the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th on Whatnot, and over 500,000 cards they're expecting to sell. I encourage you to do it. Also, right here, I've got for you a list of vintage dealers that have been vetted, that are quality vintage dealers that you can check out. Included in there are the times that they are going to be streaming their Whatnot room. If you're not familiar with Whatnot, check out yesterday's video where I go through what Whatnot is, how to use Whatnot. And again, if you don't have a username yet, if you don't have an account yet, make sure that you click on the link to get signed up. Clicking on the link will get you $15 free in credit on Whatnot. As soon as you go through the process using my link, it will set you up. Once you open up your account, it'll have $15 in credit in there that you can use to buy something on Whatnot. As soon as you buy something on Whatnot, the only thing that you have to pay for is the shipping and the tax. The credit will cover anything else. Now, don't take this for granted. I think this is a really good deal. You get $15 free to try it out. I've been using Whatnot for a while. I think it's great. I think you will too. So check that out. Also, keep in mind, it is going to ask you to verify your address so they know where to ship the stuff, your phone number to verify you don't already have an account, and it's going to ask for your payment information because your payment information is how they're going to charge you for the tax and the shipping and in case there's something else that you're planning to buy. So take advantage of that opportunity. But right now, let's take a look at our very first question for this week. I prefer to use my own eye, as I always have, to grade. Am I wrong in thinking my hobby spending money would go farther buying nice ungraded cards and not paying for someone else's opinion? I think this is a very fair question. I think it's a question I've heard quite a few times. And I totally understand where someone would come from with this question. Now, why do I need to get a card graded? I have eyes. I have been grading and giving my own opinion of cards for a very long time. So why do I suddenly need to pay somebody to tell me how nice a card is? I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Now, if you are simply a collector and you prefer your cards to not be graded and slabbed, I don't think that you need to get your cards graded and slabbed. I don't think that there is a need to do that. I think if you trust your own eye, if you know what you like, if you're not planning to sell, then yeah, leave them raw. That's totally fine. The reason why I think a lot of people are getting cards graded, there's a few reasons. Number one, to me, the biggest reason to get a card graded is the authentication. All right? There are fakes out there. Now, there are a lot of ways to detect fakes. But if you're not comfortable with those detection methods, what are some of those? Well, for one, to me, the easiest way to tell a fake is the smell. If you smell a card, it will smell like a super old library book or that book at your grandma's house when you were a kid. It will smell that way. That is one way to tell if a card is a fake or not. Another way to tell if a card is a fake or not is if you look under heavy magnification, there will be pixelation of a fake because it has a lot, the quality of the printing is not as good in a fake as it was with the original. But the other thing that they will do when they grade a card is they will make sure that it measures up. They will make sure that the edges look like they were cut the way they should be cut and aged the way they should be aged. They will make sure that the card has not been tampered with. So I think one of the main reasons to get a card graded is to make sure that it's authentic and not been tampered with. And if you've been around for a long time and you're like, hey, I can tell if a card has been tampered with. I can tell if a card is real. That's great. But the other reason I think a lot of people think grading is a good idea is if you ever go to sell your card. If you ever go to sell your card, that person might not be comfortable determining if your card that you're selling is authentic or not. If you're not planning on selling, then that's not an issue for you. But there are a lot of us out there who have thought for a long time, what do I do when I'm gone? Because the people that I'm leaving my collection to, they don't know what a card is worth. But if they just have to type in SGC4 and then on the tag up there it says, 1958 Mickey Mantle, that's really easy for them to Google or eBay and get an idea of what it's worth. It also is easy to get an idea of what it's worth because if it's ungraded, the variance of what a card in a low condition versus a high condition is worth is so dramatic that you're leaving the people that you're leaving the cards with a bit of a burden to try to make sure that they get the true value. So that's another reason that people are getting cards graded. Is it authentic? And if something were to happen to you, it's so much easier to sell and determine the value of a graded card. Otherwise, I think it's a great point. I don't think that you need to have cards graded. And to me, you go through, say, SGC for $15. It's authenticated. it's graded, it's slabbed, it's protected. And now when somebody someday receives that card, it's going to be very easy for them to determine the value and be able to sell it. I think the last reason is if you're selling something through the mail, which, let's be honest, a lot of cards nowadays are being sold through the mail, through eBay or Golden or PWCC or even on Whatnot, where you get a pretty good look at the card. It's still different than physically being in the same room as a card and really giving it the look the way you would prefer to give it a look. And so as a result, you end up in a situation where you decide, is the person who you're selling it to going to pay the same amount as they would if they were in the same room with the card? Especially if you're on something like eBay, where it's just a two-dimensional picture and they've got to determine what kind of condition they think it's in. So when you're selling, it's very difficult to sell a raw card. You're likely not going to get the full value because people are going to go, why isn't this graded? Is it authentic? And then they're going to say, I can't really tell the condition when I'm just bidding based on a picture. But if you're not worried about the resale value when you're gone, and you're not worried about selling it because you know you're keeping that card long term, I think it's an excellent point. I don't think there is a reason to pay to have somebody slab, authenticate, and grade something that you don't really care what somebody else thinks, because you're going to keep it for the long term and you're not getting rid of it. But those are my reasons why I think it's not a bad idea, and I certainly understand why people are getting cards graded because of all the reasons I just listed. But I think it's a great question, and I think it's ultimately something we all have to ask ourselves is, why am I sending in money that's taken away from my collecting in order to get somebody else's opinion of my card? And then a lot of the time I don't even agree with their opinion. I think it's a great point. In some of your past videos, you've shared that your dad goes to card shows with you and has been collecting for years. What are his 5 favorite cards from his collection, and why are they important to him? Yeah, I mean, what better way to find out my dad's favorite 5 cards in his collection than to ask him? Now, my dad has been on my channel a few times. I've had a couple of times I've asked him some questions and interviewed him and looked at some of his cards with him. I've also had that great video, which if you have not seen the video yet, of us going through his estate sale find. And that was just about a year ago that happened. You've got to check out that video. It's my most watched video. So just look in the videos and, filter it by most viewed, and that one's going to be number 1. So my dad has been on the channel a few times. We've shown some of his stuff at shows. He's had a lot of pickups over the last year as I've been dragging him around to card shows with me. So his collection is always changing, like all of us. And I think it'd be great if we head over to his house, and I'm going to head over and take a look at his 5 picks for his 5 favorite cards in his collection. So let's go ask my dad. So what are your favorite 5 cards from your collection and why?
Wow, that's a tough one, but I did pick a few out here that are pretty special to me. The first one is a 1962 Topps Manager Dream. My 2 favorite players on it, Mantle and Mays. It's a PSA 4, which if you get a chance to look at it closely, you can tell that vastly undergraded, which is why I jumped on it, because it was at a lower price, and it was a card that was very pleasing to the eye. So that was card number 1. Another one of my favorites is the 1956 Topps Ted Williams. This has always been kind of a favorite card to me, and so you can see what it looks like. It's a 4, and like almost all the cards that I have, I always tend to try to find cards that I think were graded lower than they should be. And this one, in my opinion, is certainly an example of that. It's a really solid card of one of the greatest, if not the greatest hitter of all time. Number 3 is my childhood hero. This is, by the way, not in any particular order. These are just the top 5. This is sort of my childhood hero is Mickey Mantle. It's the 1958 Topps Mickey Mantle. It's in a PSA 5. Very solid card. And the reason it's so special to me is that's the first year that I collected baseball cards, and he's my favorite player in the first year that I collected, so that's what makes this card so special. Plus, it's a very close picture of his face. That's what I really like about the 58s is they have the close up face pictures. So that's why another reason why I enjoy that so much. Back to the same year. This is the 1958 Topps Willie Mays. This one's in a PSA 6. And again, it's that first year I collected, and one of my 2 top favorite players. This particular card is centered really nicely. It's a really solid example of a 6. And it's I refer to it as one of my Grail cards. I'm actually getting to the point where I have more Grail cards that in my recent collecting with Greg, I've started collecting other cards that have become very special to me. This one is the 1956 Topps Willie Mays. It's in an SGC 5 and nicely centered, very solid corners. I actually bought this one online, which I don't usually buy expensive cards online, but this particular one looked really good to me, and I was able to get it at a price that I felt like I could handle. But the 56 is slowly becoming my favorite set, and this is one of the 4 or 5 cards from that set that I want to get. I want to, of course, get the Mantle. I want to get the Clemente. I want to get the Hank Aaron and the Jackie Robinson. So I've got some pretty heavy lifting to do to get to the point where I would have all of those. But I really enjoyed the 57 set or 56 set, and so I want to get the classic cards or icon cards of those sets.
To me, catchers always have the most undervalued baseball cards. In your opinion, what are the top 10 baseball cards of all time with catchers? So there's a couple of elements to this question that I really like. First, there are certainly positions where the cards seem less valuable or more affordable than I would think that they should. Catchers, without a doubt, are very affordable. I mean, you look across the board, Johnny Bench, Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella, Carlton Fisk, all of those guys, they're for what they accomplished, it seems to me like their cards should be more expensive than they are, but they're not. And part of that, I'm sure, is the, offensive numbers that a lot of other positions put up that these guys kind of pale in comparison statistically. Now, Bench had some pretty incredible numbers, and Berra a lot of them had incredible numbers, but they're not like the, 550 home runs, and they're not like, 1,800 RBIs, and rarely did they bat in the, middle 300s. So it does seem like catchers are very affordable. Now, to your question about my 10 favorite catcher cards, I'm going to start by saying this is not a firm list. I am very open to the fact that it could change. So I'm sure a couple of you are going to see this and go, oh my gosh, how could you not include this card? And I go, oh yeah, you're right. But just kind of off the top of my head, I picked 10 cards that I think of when I think of catcher cards as some of my favorites. Now, for some of them, it's because of the player. For some of them, it's because of the picture. Now, you asked me, right, what my 10 picks are. And keep in mind, I'm a Yankee fan, so there's going to be a bias in here. You're going to probably go, oh my gosh, how could he not include this guy or in that guy? And he did include that guy. So there is certainly a Yankee bias in the list. So if you're a Yankee hater, understand that right off the bat. But when I think of catcher cards and I go, which ones do I want? These are the first ones I think of. But I'm very open to somebody changing my mind. So if you don't like some of these picks, or you think that one is wrong, or you think that one is better than what I picked, do me a favor. Tell me what that is in the comments below. But let's look at the 10 right here. All right, so let's look at the 10 catcher cards that are my favorite. First, my favorite Johnny Bench card is the beautiful 1969 rookie trophy Johnny Bench. Obviously, it's his second-year card. His rookie card, shares a card with somebody else. But that card is just a beautiful picture, a youthful picture of probably the best catcher of all time. Now, I could not include a list without one of my favorite players of all time, Yogi Berra. Now, Yogi has a lot of great cards. I think he's very photogenic. But his rookie card is one of my 3 all-time Grail cards, so that has to be included. Now, one of the coolest cards of all time is the Thurman Munson 1971 Topps card. Such a recognizable card. Probably his coolest card. Also has the rookie trophy, which I'll always have a soft spot for. So you can't go wrong there. Now, Carlton Fisk, while this is not his rookie, again, you're going to see the theme of I really like the Rookie Cup cards. And that particular card, in my opinion, is a really, really cool Carlton Fisk card. And to me, my favorite of his. The 1951 Roy Campanella. Now, this is his third-year card, but jumping up, throwing his mask off, still has his catcher gear. There aren't a lot of Bowman cards where the catchers are in their gear. And it's very cool to see this one and see his athleticism. And I love that Campanella card. Elston Howard. Now, I told you there were going to be some Yankee homer picks. This might be one of them, but this guy won an MVP, was a very good player. Came in to try and replace Yogi as a catcher when Yogi went to the outfield, and his rookie card is one that would be very tough to turn down. So next up, I love the 33 Gowdy set. I love it. And there are a couple cards from it. So how about a Bill Dickey rookie card? Another great catcher, one of the all-time best catchers, and it's from the 33 Gowdy set. But how about another? How about a Mickey Cochran from the 1933 Gowdy set? So Gowdy's side by side there. I love the color on the Gowdies. I love the size of the Gowdies. I love everything about them. 2 great catcher cards right there, both from that 33 Gowdy set. Now, while we didn't get to see him play, everything you read about him, they say the best catcher ever may have actually been Josh Gibson. And if you want a rookie card of maybe the best, and this is, some people would say this is the all-time Grail catcher card. And Josh Gibson's rookie card would be hard to turn down. And again, as a Yankee fan, I love Joe Torre, and this is the one that I'm sure I'm getting eye rolls at. But a rookie cup of Joe Torre, who I love so much as a Yankee fan, he's going to be pick number 10 for me. So where'd I goof? Which one needs to be taken off? And which one needs to be added in its place? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on collecting a vintage rainbow? I currently have the 68 Carew in base tops, O-Pee-Chee, Milton Bradley, and Venezuelan. and PSA DNA autos of the Bass, Venezuelan, and Milton Bradley. Just missing an OPG auto. I love this idea. I love this concept of a vintage rainbow. And, there aren't a ton of sets that have the options that you just listed for a player that somebody might want to go all in like this. So the fact that, if you're into Carew and you're into vintage and you're into autographs and you're into something different, I think it's great. I think it's awesome. See, more than anything, this is what I love about the hobby. What I love about the hobby is that everybody has their own thing. And personally, that's the thing that I appreciate the most. When I'm watching other YouTube channels and people are talking about, the run I'm working on is, and it's not something that everybody else is working on, Now, I like Willie Mays, and a Willie Mays run would be expensive, but it would also be very, very cool. But there are a lot of people that are doing a Willie Mays run. Now, if Willie Mays is your favorite player, if Willie Mays is your childhood idol, if Willie Mays is the guy that you think has the most upside long-term in value, I totally get it. But it's when I hear somebody say something like, well, what I'm collecting right now is such and such. That's the thing that really gets me go, wow, that's really cool. I'll give you an example. John from 3D 80s Kid. I just watched his video, I think it was yesterday, or no, maybe it was 2 days ago. And what he did is he did a full run of the first on-print card of every major leader during World War II. So he has Winston Churchill's first card. Joseph Stalin's first card. And some people go, I don't want a Joseph Stalin card. That's fine. But that's the beauty. The beauty is that if that's your thing, then that's your thing. And I love history. I totally think that that's a very unique way to collect, a very unique sort of run to put together. And he did it in an SGC reveal. Very, very cool. Similarly, I don't even know what made me think to do this, but, over a year ago, I said, Judge is now the Yankee captain. So it was before Judge was named the Yankee captain. I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, my name is spelled after Greg Nettles. He was a Yankee captain in the early 80s. My niece, her name is Mattingly. She's named, with the name Don Mattingly. He was a Yankee captain. There was talk, I guess at the time, there was just talk of Aaron Judge becoming a Yankee captain. And a lot of these guys that, you look back on were Yankee captains. I said, I want to put together a Yankee captain run. So I started and, I have some of them, but I'm missing a few of them, a lot of them. And I'm working my way on it. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to put together a Yankee captain run. So I think the idea of what you're doing is, the Venezuelan, the OPG, the Milton Bradley, the Tops, and autographed, that's such a fun, creative way to collect. And what I think that we all should do, we all should find something a little bit different than what everyone else is doing. Again, if you're a super collector for Willie Mays, that's great. But I also think that it's kind of sometimes cool to do something a little bit different than what others are doing. Something a little off the beaten trail, whatever it is. Whether it's the World War II leaders or the Yankee captains or whatever it might be, I think that it's cool and fun and what the hobby is all about to be collecting something different than everybody else, and then share it with us. Share it with us and tell us why. Tell us why you're collecting that and the reasoning behind it and the thought behind it and the difficulty of, oh man, it was so hard to find the Venezuelan Rod Carew that was autographed. Share that with us, because those stories and that hunt that you're on, that's a lot of fun. And it's a conversation starter. It's a topic that I certainly like a lot. So I'd encourage everybody to come up with something a little bit different than others are doing and work on it, but then share it and tell us about it. And why'd you choose that? And not only why did you choose that, but what were the struggles along the way of trying to complete that run or that collection? I think it's very cool. Are there any athlete cards that you refuse to collect because you don't like the athlete? Oh man, there have been a few times that there were questions that I'm like, oh man, this one's going to get me in trouble. There are going to be people who don't like what I have to say here. And I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm not going to answer a question that might be unpopular or will turn certain people off. I will take on any question. I will give it my honest answer, because what I hope that you all think of me at this point is at least I'm authentic. You know, when I tell you about Whatnot, or I tell you about Market Movers, I genuinely enjoy those products. I'm not going to suggest, hey, you guys should check out, Market Movers if I don't like it. I am a genuine person, I promise you. So when you ask me this question, I'm not going to skirt around it. I'm not going to not answer it to prevent people from getting upset with me. I'm going to tell you some of the people that I don't collect because I don't like them. Now, when I started doing this video thing, it was about 36 weeks ago that I started doing the once a week Q and A. There was a question, and I don't remember how it came up. I think it was something about, have you ever, not collected someone because of their off the field issues or something? And I started talking about Lawrence Taylor, and then I started talking about O.J. Simpson. And I showed my O.J. Simpson rookie card. And some people came back and said, oh my gosh, you bought a card of a killer. Like, I can't believe that you have an O.J. Simpson card. That's ridiculous. That guy, he murdered people. And I was like, well, yeah, and at the same time, like, I remember as a kid, the sideline reporter, they'd send it down to Juice, and Juice would give us the sideline pregame, what was happening, what the weather was, talk to the coach, and he's on all the Hertz commercials, and, he had some epic, video, footage of his career where he was doing amazing things. Then he was on all those Naked Gun movies, and I like to laugh. So he's on all these Naked Gun movies, and I watched all of those. And that's kind of my kind of comedy, is this kind of goofy stuff. And so I always wanted an O.J. Simpson rookie. And so I went out and bought one. And then I showed it, and people were like, dude, you can't have an O.J. Simpson rookie. And honestly, I felt convicted. I was like, they're right. Like, I shouldn't. Like, I should not have an O.J. Simpson rookie. Now, I have nothing against people with an O.J. Simpson rookie, but the fact that I felt convicted about it, the fact that I was like, yeah, I don't really have a good argument as to why I should have this, other than I wanted one when I was little before the incident. So I sold it. And I don't have it anymore because I felt convicted and I felt like people were right. I shouldn't. So I can officially say now, I don't collect O.J. Simpson because of the things that he have been involved with. Now that was an easy one. Couple more people I don't like. Now you have to keep in mind that one of the biggest villains for a lot of you out there are all of the steroid guys. But at the same time, you have to remember that my favorite player growing up was Roger Clemens. And when I met Roger Clemens, he was so cool to me that his legend for me got even bigger. So I love the guy. Even if he's participated in things, even if, there was honesty issues with it, he was still my guy. So I was Clemens. Clemens was my guy. And I still have a thing for Clemens. And if you were to say, who is Roger Clemens' arch nemesis? Who does he dislike the most? And this exit stage left if you don't want to have me not like me anymore, but Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza is like Roger Clemens' arch rival in my opinion. So I don't like Mike Piazza, and I won't collect Mike Piazza. And people would say, but Mike Piazza's not a steroid guy. Okay, if you say so. Now, Mike Piazza is the arch nemesis to my guy, for better or worse. Now, if Roger Clemens was accused of some of the things that OJ was accused of, then I would have a hard time continuing to be supportive of him and be his guy. But as things stand, Clemens is still my guy. Now, his other arch rival, his other arch nemesis, and a lot of you probably are going, oh, it's this guy, it's that guy, it's this guy. To me, is Pedro Martinez. Okay? Now, there are a lot of things that have gone down with Pedro Martinez. And let me first say, Mike Piazza was a fantastic hitter. And Pedro Martinez was an incredible pitcher. Absolutely incredible. But if you're the arch rival of my guy, I can't like you. I can't. I can't like you if you're the arch rival of my guy. Now, that means Pedro is not on my collect list. I'm not a Pedro Martinez guy. And again, I love Don Zimmer. So if you love Don Zimmer, and who doesn't love Don Zimmer? But if you love Don Zimmer, then you're not a Pedro Martinez guy, right? So Mike Piazza, O.J. Simpson, in no particular order. Mike Piazza, O.J. Simpson, and Pedro Martinez. Those are probably the three. And if I had to put a fourth one in there, man, I'm digging myself here because there are going to be some people that are not going to like me for this, but Colin Kaepernick. I mean, I'm a 49er fan, and if you're a 49er fan, most 49er fans are not high on Colin Kaepernick. He had some things about him. He had some athleticism about him that was incredible. I don't think he was that great of a quarterback. And I watched probably pretty close to every snap he ever had as a 49er. And I think that he made a lot of mistakes as a quarterback. And I think he was a phenomenal athlete. But the way he went about voicing his opinion on certain things, I'm not really a fan of. If I'm anything, I hope that you'll think of me as authentic, but I also hope people will think of me as a patriot. And I I love the United States of America for better or worse. I literally, when I see the flag, I get goosebumps. I love our flag. There's no group that I am more supportive of than our veterans and of our soldiers and of our troops. Everything we do for them, we should do more. And the way that Colin Kaepernick decided to voice his frustrations with different things politically, while I respect his right to act the way that he acted, I do believe he has a right to do what he did. But I, as a fan, as an individual, as a citizen, as a human being, also have a right to not appreciate the way that he did it. But I respect his right to do it. So, for me, Pedro, Piazza, OJ, Colin Kaepernick, in no particular order. Didn't dodge it. That's my answer. And now, I know there are people out there who just hit the unsubscribe button, and that's okay. Because what's more important to me than being liked by everyone is actually standing for something and having an opinion and being straight with you all. So that's my answer. As a quick reminder, if you have a question for an upcoming episode, down below, simply type it into the comments. And also, remember, the Whatnot Virtual Card Show 3 is November 16th to the 19th, and the way we're going to celebrate the end of it is on the 20th. I will be giving away that 1960 All-Star Mickey Mantle in a PSA 4, and in order to be included in the drawing, all you have to do is down below in the comments, tell me your Whatnot username, and follow me on Whatnot. And if you don't have a Whatnot account, remember, all you have to do is click on the link in the pinned comments and in the video description, and it will take you through the process to sign up. You simply put in your address, your payment information, your phone number, all that for verification purposes, and then new in your account will be $15 free for you to use on Whatnot. Don't forget to post those questions for next week. I look forward to hearing what you all are interested in my opinion on. See you next week.